Earlier in the show, you heard me reference LFCNY, a shorthand acronym for the Liverpool Supporters Club of New York. That group is entering the fourth month of a campaign against Stephen Cohen, host of World Soccer Daily, a 2-hour call-in show that airs on Sirius satellite radio. LFCNY's protest began after Cohen's April 13th comments, in which he claimed 6,000 to 8,000 unticketed Liverpool fans were responsible for the Hillsborough disaster. On April 15th, 1989, 96 Liverpool supporters died at Hillsborough Stadium in the minutes before Liverpool's FA Cup semi-final match against Nottingham Forest. The investigation into the tragedy, whose findings were published in the Taylor Report, found a lack of police control, along with the stadium's design, were the main factors contributing to the tragedy. That Cohen's comments contradicted this report is the root of this controversy. Those active in the campaign have referred to Stephen's comments as lies. Cohen has issued an apology for his comments and has also said he was just stating his opinion. This week, Fox Soccer Channel announced they would not bring Stephen Cohen back as co-host for Fox Football Phone-In, their weekly television call-in show that had featured Cohen for the last 5 years. Fox's decision led many to speculate that LFCNY's campaign had influenced Fox's decision. The campaign has successfully targeted many advertisers of World Soccer Daily, leading to sponsors such as Heineken and 442 to withdraw advertising on the show. To talk about LFCNY's campaign, I was joined yesterday by Conor Brennan, the vice president of LFCNY and the head of the club's campaign against Cohen. Conor gave me an opportunity to walk through all of the story's important points, starting with April 13th. He talked about how the campaign was organized, its goals and tactics, as well as the club's general views on Stephen Cohen and why they persist with their campaign. The resulting interview is just over an hour long and will cover our final 2 segments. Conor Brennan said that there were no topics that were off limit. In the interest of full disclosure, on Thursday of this week, our site published an article on this story. I was the author of that piece. It reported on Fox's decision as well as provided a synopsis of the controversy's important events. Ultimately, the article questioned the value of persisting in the campaign given Fox's decision and Stephen's apologies. Thursday's piece came 1 week after I had published a story on World Soccer Daily, a story that came as a result of World Soccer Daily allowing me to sit in on a day's show. Conor Brennan had read both of these pieces before the interview, which I started by asking about his reaction to Fox's decision.
Well, Richard, I suppose there was a recognition that we had achieved one aim of the campaign, which was to get Stephen Cohen off the air, TV and radio. And I suppose we had figured, okay, we've got him off the TV side of the equation. We were not out celebrating, dancing, anything like this, because that's not really what this campaign is about. We were happy to have seen that we'd got him off the TV, but we realised that there was still more work to be done to get him off the radio.
Did LFCNY have any advanced knowledge of Fox's decision?
Fox contacted the LFCNY at the tail end of May, early June, and I suspect that was just to take the temperature, see what we were about, how serious we were. When they contacted us, I suspected that it was more taking the temperature than anything else. And from that point in late May, early June, when we reached out to them a few more times, they remained very corporate, very much on message. And to answer your question directly, we didn't have direct knowledge, but we had rumours, anecdotal knowledge, what have you, that it was looking like he wouldn't be coming back.
Were those through hints in the conversation, or was it just your general feeling from their corporate approach?
It was reading into what Fox had said, and it was also other stuff we had heard, shall we say, out there on the internet. We had quite a series of contacts across various different Facebook groups and people, bloggers, unknown people, unknown emailers giving us a heads up.
Did you suspect any of those emails were coming from inside Fox?
Not inside Fox, no, but people with knowledge, shall we say. People who seem to know more than they should, if you know what I mean. And by that, I mean people who would email us at random, who would seem to know an awful lot more about what was going on in the campaign than a random emailer should know.
Were these consistent emailers you were getting, or were they completely random?
A bit of both, Richard. There's a few people who have been emailing us that all we know is about their screen name or their email address, who have been providing us with remarkably consistent information, and other people just sort of connecting the dots, to quote someone, who said, look, this has happened, therefore this may well be happening.
And has that been going on since the beginning of your campaign, or is that a recent phenomenon?
Well, not since the beginning, but certainly for the last month, 6 weeks.
Okay, before we get into too many details of the campaign, I wanted to step back and kind of allow you to paint a bigger picture of the campaign. Uh, how would you describe LFCNY to somebody who is unfamiliar with your group?
LFCMY is a collection, motley crew actually. It's a collection of about 500 Liverpool supporters based in and around the New York area. It has been in existence since 1995, grown from about maybe 10, 12, 15 people in 1995. And if for any of your listeners who would remember in 1995 or in the 90s, it was very difficult to find live football on television, satellite or otherwise, in the mid-90s. You're talking about maybe one game coming in live a weekend, which I know seems like prehistoric times now. But a bunch of about sort of 10, 15, 20 of us got together and just grew the club from those 10 or 15 or 20 people to, I would say, about 500 people now.
And in those 15 years, has LFCNY undertaken any campaigns like this one?
Not boycott campaigns as such. The LFCNY has always had a large charitable outreach. We have raised money for sort of underprivileged kids football teams in New York, coat drives, food drives, stuff like this. But as regards sort of a boycott campaign or as regards an advocacy campaign such as this, no.
And I guess that brings us to the current campaign against Stephen Cohen. When you first organized the campaign, what were your goals?
We weren't sure, and that's to be very honest, we weren't sure. This wasn't the first time we had heard of Stephen Cohen. Let's put it like this. He had made nasty, vile comments in 2006 against the 96 dead and against their families and against Liverpool fans on Fox Football Phone-In, and then walked that back the following week, which, looking back at it now, we're guessing he was forced to walk it back by Fox. So having looked at Stephen Cohen and what he said against the 96, and I need to emphasise here that the 96 dead, they're as much part of the DNA of Liverpool Football Club as any of the 18 league championships or the 5 European Cups. They are an intrinsic part of what makes Liverpool Football Club Liverpool Football Club. So when he made these comments, we were kind of waiting, wondering, well, what to do next? What should we do? How should we handle this? And the more we looked on it in the first weeks after the comment, and I mean the first week after the comments, the more we realised that this was just another in a long, long litany of Stephen Cohen's smears, lies, hate against Liverpool Football Club. And we realised that, well, no matter what apology he gave, he's probably going to walk that one back again, and he'd be back to lying, defaming the dead. So we said, look, the only way to go about this is as pie in the sky as it might seem. We have to get him off the air.
We'll talk a little bit later about the steps that you've been taking to accomplish that goal, but first I was hoping to walk through the timeline that started on April 13th, and that was the day that Stephen Cohen on World Soccer Daily made the comments that started your campaign. How did you find out about what he said on that day's show?
It came up on a couple of different blogs, a couple of different message boards. Personally, at the time, I was in Ireland, and I had checked into the LFCNY message boards, and I found something saying like Cohen spewing lies again, or Cohen's at it again, or something like this. And I read the comments. Was I disappointed? Of course I was, but I had seen these before. Unfortunately, they were nothing new to me.
So before April 13th, Stephen Cohen was already a figure in your mind as being somebody who was speaking out against Liverpool.
It was like this, Richard. He certainly wasn't a friend of Liverpool, and that's not to say that anybody needs to be a friend of Liverpool. You know, we're big boys. If you want to tell us we